show. As is tradition, we hook up with the head coach, and that's Terry Stotts, who joins us now on the phone. Coach, thanks for the time.
Hey, I'm honored to have all four of you guys on the same show. This doesn't happen often.
No, it doesn't. For good reason, I might add.
Yeah.
Coach, people can downplay the significance of the preseason and results and wins and losses, although you tend to downplay it when you're not winning in the preseason. But to win 5 straight, we know that learning how to win is an important step in the process, and having some success to follow all the hard work as a reward, and seeing how you perform defensively, all positive things. What was maybe the greatest thing you took from the exhibition season that you'll try and carry over to the regular season?
Well, there's no question that the thing that we want to carry over is our defense. We made a concerted effort over the summer and before training camp started, and then going into training camp, is that we needed to become a better defensive team. And it is the preseason with all the caveats of what preseason is and what it means. But the fact that by many standards we were one of the better, or if not the best, defensive team in the preseason is something to be proud of. It's something that we put our minds to it, and we need to carry it over to the regular season, obviously. But I was really proud of our players and our team, of how we implemented the things that we want to do and how much effort the players took to the defense, and it showed in our preseason numbers. So that's what I'd say. That was my biggest takeaway from the preseason.
Mentioning that, my predictions, I want you to help me out a little bit.
Oh, here we go.
Oh my.
Defensive efficiency is where it's going on my prediction, my part of the predictions. I don't have Dallas. I don't have Denver. I don't have Lakers. The only defensive team that I don't have that plays defense is Memphis. I have New Orleans and the Timberwolves making the top 8 along with the Blazers.
Your predictions are supposed to come later.
Have I made – well, I'm getting – I could still change it if Coach says –
No, it's a graphic. You can't change it.
Oh, okay.
So what's the question, Coach?
That's what I was wondering.
Here's the question. Should I include the Lakers, Denver, Dallas, Memphis in my top 8 because they don't play
So now
defense?
You're asking for bulletin board material from Coach's mouth.
No. I'm just asking his expert opinion.
All right.
So as it turns out, Coach, what we're trying to get figured out is when you look at where your team was in the preseason on the defensive end of the court, how do you make sure that translates into the regular season? Because this team at the end of the end of the preseason was one of the best defensive team in the NBA.
Yeah, that's why I have them in the top 8.
Well, look, it's a long season, and every team is going to be better in April than they are now. And we can't rest on our laurels of what we did in preseason. Preparation, game planning, health, all those things are going to play into it. But I think we're on the right track with our defense, and we need for it to continue. I think that it's a combination of things, Tone, that's going to keep it on the same track. One is I think that the things that we've done as far as game planning has simplified things, and it's more suited for our players. I think the players realize as well, and I'm sure they knew this last year, but for us to get better, we have to, and to make the playoffs, is that we have to be a better defensive team. And top to bottom, our players are committed to winning and making the playoffs, and that commitment translates into better defense and ultimately more wins.
Now, if you look at your ball club and playing much better defense, how much do you have to tone them down after winning 5 in a row? Because being the number 1 defensive team in the preseason, beating out the Bulls, and I might add Phoenix has had great defense in the preseason. How much do you have to say, it's just preseason? Are the guys going to be a little overconfident winning 5 in a row?
That's a good question, Coach. I think if it were regular season, I would be maybe a little concerned about complacency. But I think we all have been in it long enough not to take too much stock in the preseason. I think we know that we're on the right track, but our guys realize that the season starts on Wednesday, and I certainly pointed out to our team what we accomplished defensively in the preseason, and that it was a great starting off point. It was a great way to start the season, to validate some of the things that we've been emphasizing, and go into the season on a positive note.
As a favor to me, because you're very accommodating, I'm hoping that at some point during the season you might answer one of my questions by calling me coach. That would be just as a nice favor.
Well, if you told me what teams you have coached, I'd certainly do that.
Well, I've coached a few. They just may not be in a league you've heard of or something.
St. Mary's, sixth grade.
The little school for the poor and so forth. But those were younger and more productive days in some respects. But the other thing that was great about the preseason, to go back to that as something that I know you hope will carry over, the improved defense led to an unbelievable dominance rebounding-wise. I mean, a double-figure rebound margin for the good throughout the 7-game preseason schedule. And I know you said some of that was having better rebounders on the floor, but it seemed like some of it also was the scheme putting rebounders in a better position to get those boards. And there were very few situations that I could recall where the opposition had second and third opportunities in offensive sequences. Going back to the Golden State game with the 17 straight stops, I mean, it was a case of playing good defense, rebounding, and putting it together a 22-0 run. I mean, that was the best stretch
here.
That was the best stretch of everything. I'm asking him to acknowledge, but Coach had another question, but I'm asking this coach about rebounding. So go ahead, Coach Stotts, if you'd like to comment on that.
Rebounding, I think so often so many things are tied together. A lot of times defense and offense are tied together. I really think that what we did rebounding-wise was tied to our defensive schemes, keeping our bigs closer to the basket. Certainly, when you add Robin Lopez and Thomas Robinson to the mix, you're going to get more rebounds because of their rebounding ability. If you get more stops, which we did in preseason, there are going to be more rebounds available at the defensive end, which translates more often than not into more rebounds for that team. So I've never really been a big. I like offensive rebounds, but those can kind of come and go. And I think I'm much more of a believer in transition defense rather than offensive rebounding. But the fact that we're forcing more missed shots and that we're rebounding those missed shots, I think is something that we are certainly emphasizing, and we want to continue.
Coach Neil Olshey went and got you help on the bench, as we all know this year. And there's a lot of good acquisitions that we'll talk a lot about. It seems like to have a steady veteran hand in a guy like Mo Williams at the backup point, and also some two, is going to pay big dividends this season, maybe even early.
Well, it is, and I think you guys have seen that in the preseason. In that Mo, when Mo comes in the game, you know he's in the game. He has an impact the minute he steps on the floor. He has a speed, a quickness, a savvy about his offensive game that certainly has an impact. He can run a team, which he did for me in Milwaukee when he came off the bench, but also I think he can facilitate Damian, allowing Damian to take some blows. I enjoy playing those two guys together. You're going to see those two playing together often, but it's it just, one of the things about our bench last year, as much as I liked them, we had trouble scoring, and Mo can come in and have an impact on the game offensively, either scoring or getting other people involved. So I'm excited about what he can do for us in the regular season. I think the fans that have watched and who have been able to see some of our games have already realized what he can do for us off the bench.
Coach,
Go ahead.
You mentioned Dame and playing he and Mo together. I've been impressed with Damian. We've been able to watch him in the pregame warm-ups do something that, and I've talked to Wills about it, I've never seen before, and that's take time to work on his defensive movement, not just shooting the ball, not just putting it on the floor, but he actually takes 5 or 10 minutes to work on his defensive positioning, sliding his feet, because he did make a commitment this summer to be a better on-ball defender.
I have a lot of respect for Damian as a player and as a person, and what he did last year, was, as I said a few times, is historical in some sense. But he is so committed to being the best player that he can be. He wants to be great at both ends. And, I've talked to him about the great ones do it at both ends, and he wants to be great. And, look, for us to win, I told the team this, and for us to achieve personal goals, we need to win. And Damian has personal goals like anybody else, and we need to win. And for us to win, we need to be better defensively. And he took a lot of heat over the summer about his deficiency in defense, and I thought it was overblown a little bit. But I know he worked hard last year, but a lot of the experience that he gained last year and his commitment to working at it over the summer, and now the leadership that he has shown in his commitment to defense in training camp in the month of October is going to pay dividends, not only for him personally, but obviously for us as a team.
Staying on that defensive theme for the last question here, Nick knows he can defend people like Curry, and when Wes was down with his heart problem, Nick moved over to the 2 a little bit, and Darrell Wright came in at the 3. Might we see that in certain defensive situations coming up?
Well, I really like Nick at the 2. Nick is so versatile. Whether you play him at 2 or 3 offensively. We played him against Chris Paul last year. He loves the challenge of playing point guards, and that versatility for us with his length and what you saw in Golden State with him guarding Curry in the second half. There's no question that we will put him on point guards in the future because it's a different look that teams haven't seen, and Nick loves that challenge. He loves the challenge. I think he took that in the European Championships this summer, that he guarded some of the point guards, and he enjoys that. And Nick's another player that has an immense talent. He's still young. And again, for him to accomplish the things that he wants to do, he needs to do it at both ends and do it consistently. And that's going to be one of his challenges this year.
I think the greatest sign of progress for your team is that we've sat here for 10 minutes and we've yet to mention LaMarcus Aldridge. I mean, a 2-time All-Star that clearly is your leader in many respects. People are commenting on how much more vocal he's been during training camp to try to be more of a leader in that respect. Where do you see him taking his game to continue to be not only a better individual player, but to help you win even more?
Well, honestly, Damian, Nick, LaMarcus, I think a lot of people get caught up in the numbers and generally their offensive numbers. I challenged LaMarcus to get double-figure rebounds this year. I think he's capable of doing it, and it's something that, look, he had a career year rebounding last year, and I'm hoping he can do even better. But from an offensive standpoint, what I really want from all those guys is to be more efficient. Shoot a better percentage. All the analytics and advanced analytics about usage rates and all that stuff. Just be more efficient with your game, whether it's passing, scoring, shooting, driving. There are things that you can do to not only play well yourself, but make your teammates better. And, you guys have been around LaMarcus for his career, and last year was my first year with him. But the guy, I think, is underappreciated by a lot of people because he's been remarkably consistent throughout his career. The last 4 or 5 years, he puts up 20-8, 20-9 in his sleep. I mean, he's that good. And what I expect from him is the same consistency, but I think with the players around him, he's going to be able to do the same things but be more efficient with it.
Coach, we appreciate the time as always, and we certainly look forward to Wednesday night, and we will see you tomorrow afternoon as we head down to Phoenix and get them started for real.
One last thing, Coach. Can New Orleans make the playoffs?
There are 12 teams that can make the playoffs, and we'll be one of them.
There you go.
Man,
hey,
Coach.
But I want to know, with all these predictions, I want a prediction on how many times we will refer to Antonio Harvey's illustrious career on our post-game interviews.
I can tell you how many times that'll happen on TV.
And it'll be double that on radio.
I don't understand why we're having this conversation right now.
Get him, Coach. All right, Coach. We'll see you tomorrow. We appreciate it.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, the head coach, Terry Stotts. Great guy. And
Who last year actually looked up Tone's production